Good morning, everyone. Welcome to BYU. Thank you for being here. It's a great day for BYU football as we introduce our offensive coordinator, Jedd Grimes. Throughout our conversations and our communication and throughout the past few weeks, it's pretty evident that Coach Grimes loves his players, enjoys his role as a mentor, and gets the most out of his players both on and off the field. I look forward to him making that impact here at BYU football. He brings with him 25 years of solid experience in the coaching profession, many of those years in the highest level of college football, and really excited about the direction of our offense, and look forward to you guys getting to know him better as I introduce our offense coordinator at BYU, Jedd Grimes.
Good morning. Excited to be here. Extremely grateful for the opportunity to come back and be at a place that I love. I prepared some notes because I like to be organized. But I'm really thankful to be here. Thankful to President Worthen, Vice President Richardson, Tom Holmo, Coach Sitake for giving me this opportunity to come back and be a part of a program that I think is really special. I also want to say a thanks to a lot of my former players who really jumped out and gave me a lot of support through this process and encouraged me to make an attempt to come back. And you know, guys like Jay Caressa and Eddie Keel, Dallas and Lance Jr., Terrence Brown, Rafing, Sete Aulai, just a few of the guys. And I know anytime you bring up individuals, you run the risk of leaving someone out, so I apologize. But those are just some of the guys that I heard from and some of the guys that supported me in this endeavor. And I want to really say a thank you to them, because those guys are the ones that it's really all about, having an opportunity to have an impact on lives and build relationships that last. It was a number of years ago that I first got to know those guys, and obviously still have a very strong relationship with them. One of the things that I think is important for any guy in a position of leadership is to state what your goals are and where you're headed. And I think my most immediate goals are, number one, to work to put together with Coach Sitake the best offensive staff that BYU has ever had. And I know what that means because there have been a lot of great coaches here over the years. But I really believe in this time and in this place we can do that. My next goal is to get to know the players. I met a few of them yesterday, which was really cool. Just seemed very excited to be around and get to know me and see where we're headed, and chomping at the bit to get to work. The next thing will be get to know some of these recruits. I know we're just about done in recruiting, but an opportunity to get to know those guys and for them to have an opportunity to talk to me, I think will be important. And then lastly is to go beat Notre Dame in the Citrus Bowl, which I know doesn't have anything to do with BYU, but it does have something to do with me and the commitment that I made to LSU and those players there. And obviously I've had 4 great years there and have strong relationships with Coach O, and have a great amount of respect for him, and I'm grateful for the opportunity that he gave me. And I want to go back and finish the job that I started there. And then looking forward to being here sometime shortly after that bowl game. I've had a lot of questions about what kind of offense are you going to run? What's the BYU offense going to look like? And I'm happy to talk about that. I'm very blessed in that in 25 years of coaching, I've been a lot of places. And I think at times that can be both a blessing and a curse, but in my case, I think it's been a real blessing. I've been around some great offensive minds, all the way back to when I first started coaching high school football in Texas, learning from a guy named Tom Work, who was a great high school coach and a great offensive coach, and we scored a ton of points, and I learned about how to take advantage of what the defense gives you. Working for guys like Dirk Cutter and Gus Malzahn and Matt Canada this last year, some of the guys who I think are some of the best offensive minds in the entire country, has given me a great breadth of experience. And I think the width of experience that I've been able to gain over all these years gives me a broad knowledge base that will allow me to put together the best system for BYU right now, and I think that's the most important thing. When you look at building an offense, I think the first thing you want to do is build the culture. You want to build the mindset that's right, because there are a lot of different ways to move the football and score points. But with the right guys who are willing to give all that they have, you have an opportunity to be successful, whichever style that you choose. When I was at Auburn, the old coach there, Pat Dye, used to come by my office every so often. He liked me because I was the offensive line coach, and he liked running the football. And he'd come by and talk to me, and one of the things he used to say all the time is, you know, you can coach them just as hard as you're willing to love them. And I think that's true. And I think that would describe my approach to a large extent. And we're going to be very demanding, but we're going to love the guys too. And I think through that, being demanding and caring about them, you have the opportunity to build trust. And the end result is a guy that's willing to go out there and play. And the reason he's willing to go out there and play is because you've invested in him. And I think that combination of love and demand creates a player that has self-worth and has confidence and feels a real purpose and belonging in what he's doing. And that's the real magic of making any system work or making any team or organization work. Beyond that, then you go to okay, what's it going to look like more specifically? I think it's really, really important that you build an offense around the skill set that you have, and I think you can look at that in two ways. One, what's it going to look like long term? What type of players do you have here that will allow you to have success for a long period of time? And then who do you have right now, this year, that's going to allow you to win this season? And I think we'll combine both of those things. It'll look, I think, like a lot of the different things that I've done. My goal is to put together the best combination of all the systems that I've been a part of and build a system that's flexible enough to fit exactly what we have here this year, but be open enough to do something a little bit different if a particular guy gets hurt or you have a different guy in that position the following year. I believe in being creative and giving the defense a lot to look at, diversionary tactics such as shifts and motions, and forcing the defense to defend a variety of things, whether you're talking about the tempo at which you snap the ball, the way you line up, the personnel groups that you have on the field. I believe in a lot of variety as far as that goes. I believe in balance, and you can achieve balance in a lot of different ways. You know, if you listen to Mike Leach talk about balance, he talks about having balance in terms of ball distribution, whether you hand it off or whether you run it to him, it doesn't matter. If you listen to a team that runs it all the time, like one of the academies or Georgia Tech, they talk about balance by giving the ball in a run scheme to a lot of different guys. So there are a lot of ways to create balance, but I look at the field, the football field, as a battleground. And if you look at it as a battleground, then you want to force the enemy to defend a broad front and make them defend the entire width and depth of the field. And so we'll have the ability to attack the field both horizontally and vertically, both through the running game and the passing game, and there may be certain games where we emphasize one over the other. I'm a big believer in taking advantage of what the defense gives you, and typically when you do that in the fourth quarter, you're going to find yourself where you want to be. Another question that I'm sure a lot of guys have is, what about the fact that you don't have play calling experience? On one hand, that's true. On another hand, I don't think that it is. I've been in a lot of games over the 25 years that I've coached where somebody from the press box gets to me on the headphones, and it may be a critical 4th and 1 situation to continue a drive or score a touchdown that may win the game. Hey, Grimey, give me a call. And in that situation, whether it be for a conference championship, national championship, whatever the case may be, it's my job to give the right call, and I've done that everywhere that I've been for a number of years. And I feel like if I can make that call in that situation, then I can make any call. I also think one thing that's interesting is that, you know, a lot is made of what's called on game day, but in most cases, the truth behind it is that most calls are made on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday in your preparation. In my opinion, if you're doing the job right, then most of that happens long before you get to 3rd and 4 from the 25-yard line. And so we'll be a staff that's going to work really, really hard in preparation, and long before we get to those situations, we'll know what our best calls are going to be, knowing that at the same time there'll be a moment when you got to make a gut instinct call, and I like that as well. The other thing that I think is important to emphasize is that this is not me, it's going to be we. Anytime you put together a collection of coaches, I think the most valuable thing you can do is gain information from everybody that's there and use that information. And I want as many guys around me who have as much or more knowledge or different types of knowledge than I have as possible. Former President Lyndon Johnson once said, there are no problems that we cannot solve together. And there are very few that we can solve on our own. And I think that's true. And obviously, my job here is to get the offense right. But that's not just going to be my job. That's going to be us working collectively as a staff. It's going to be Coach Sitake and the strength coaches and the academic people and everyone that's involved in the program, helping us move forward, score a lot of points, and have a lot of fun. So one other thing I found interesting as I started just thinking about this, because I got a number of questions from people, that, what about you never called the plays? And I started thinking about some of the guys that I've been around. I think it's been noted that I played for Andy Reid in college, and I bring him up because he was an offensive line coach for a long time in his career before he at one point began calling plays. Robert and I, who I worked with here as well, was an offensive line coach and then began calling plays here, and we had a lot of success. And there are countless other examples that you could find, and whoever puts the best example in your article, I'll buy you a cheeseburger. So with that, I'm open to questions.